And they go with the headline, more projects, more debt. So the China mission, they say, President Ruto met with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping with Kenya's long wish list for funding and development support, including for big ticket projects such as SGR extension and dueling of the Rironi Mau Summit Malaba Road. But there is a flip side to it, raising the country's debt burden. That is what they are reporting, and you can read that on page number 4, what it means for the country, already burdened by a lot of debt, but then again the president and the government insisting, kwanza unajua wataambiwa mlikataa finance bill, mnadhani projects zitafandiwa na nini. So anyway, Kenya lobbies for Chinese support as it battles debt. Among key projects that Kenya seeks to be funded are the SGR extension to Kisumu and Malaba, and also dueling of the Rironi Mau Summit Malaba Road. Nairobi has struck deals with the opening of Chinese market to Kenya's farm produce and accession to a key Asian bank. So the ALB is a multilateral development institution with 109 members and $100 billion capitalization. We are looking forward to engagement. So that is President Ruto. And so Rironi Mau Summit Road project has now been snatched from France by China. And the Chinese have clinched a major road infrastructure project from the French, which they are now poised to develop. So you can read that on page number 4. Then I see 1.5 billion shillings salary increase for civil servants. Phase 2 increment, calming a strike threat by civil servants. The government splashed 1.5 billion shillings on salary increment for civil servants in phase 2 of their collective bargaining agreement, raising pay by between 1,300 shillings and 5,000 shillings, and also improving allowances. It's on page 2, and you can read that there. Yesterday, Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi said the National Treasury allocated funds to finance the implementation of the second phase of the collective bargaining agreement. All the workers who got house allowances from Cluster 4 will now be put on Cluster 3. The biggest earners, however, of these allowances will be workers in Nairobi who will between 3,750 for grade 17 to 80,000 shillings for grade 4. Workers in other cities of Mombasa, Kisumu, Eldoret, and Nakuru will get between 3,125 shillings and 80,000 shillings. So it seems that it says civil servants smiling all the way to the bank. Right. I also see cost of teachers strike. Parents face unplanned for expenditure. It's on page 6. And learners in some schools were sent home days after the reopening and have been recalled. Caregivers are angry that they have to spend money they do not have. I see one parent here. My son arrived home at about 7 p.m. only for us to see on TV that the strike had been suspended. The back and forth has cost me an extra 5,000 shillings in fare alone. So pressure of industrial action takes its toll on learners and schools, and they're saying that parents are now grappling with a substantial burden of resettling their children in schools following a 1-week strike that disrupted learning across the country. Now schools in turn will have to carve out additional time to compensate for the lost lessons, particularly for candidates preparing for national exams.
Yeah, and still on the same, right here on the Daily Nation, I see it being reported that teachers wamejam.
Kwa nini?
Wanashanga kupet. Mbona mnatufanyia hivyo? Na saa hiyo 1.8% is the share of PET member salary that is deducted and remitted as union dues every month. So we are paying you to represent us, but now
mnaenda huko mnajirepresent. So huko sijui ni nini mnafanya na pia we are paying you dues.
Imagine 1.8%. Page 4 of the Daily Nation says Kupet branch officials question deal, criticize move to call off teacher strike. So the National Executive Board officials accused of ending the industrial action without the approval of the union's top decision-making organ. Vihiga branch secretary Sabala Inyeni on the same, saying the government will now have it easy frustrating teachers, and that's why they should step down and allow for new leadership. So now the teachers across the country have expressed outrage at the calling off of their strike on Monday evening. Say they got a raw deal in the agreement. Their union struck with the Teacher Service Commission. So as a result, some Kenyan Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers KUPPET branch executive secretaries, who are also part of its National Governing Council, yesterday demanded that the national officials who made the decision to step down, saying they went against the constitution of the union. So now these parents are complaining about the back and forth, but from what we see here, it looks like another back and forth.
Yeah,
because the union may have said the strike is over, but it's the teachers when you are kwa ground. Ndio wanamata.
Hao ndio wanamata because they are the ones going to class.
It's true.
Yeah. Right. I see on page 10, National Land Commission is on the spot for withholding billions meant for landowners. As the Senate committee summons commission to explain why those displaced by projects have not been paid. Senators want NLC to explain why the money is being held and amount of interest accrued over time. You can read that on page 10. I also see a sad story here. 9 killed as 3 injured after truck collides with matatu. This is there's a wreckage, a picture there of the wreckage of a lorry that collided head-on with a matatu at Koguta along the Londiani Mohoroni Road, killing 9 people on Tuesday. Kericho accident occurred when lorry driver lost control. 5 male and 4 female passengers lost their lives. And this is just very sad because it only comes a day or two after the Nithi accident that claimed at least 10 people. And so condolences to the family and being cautious on our roads. I also see former Gor Mahia and Harambee Stars midfielder Collins Okoth Ougo, Elias Gattuso, and he's accused Sylvia Aoko were on Tuesday arraigned in court over the brutal murder of a minor in Ruaraka in Nairobi. Before Milimani High Court Judge Alexander Muteti, Okoth and Aoko did not formally plead to the charges in connection with the alleged killing of 3-year-old Pamela Atieno. This is after the ODPP informed the court they were yet to file a mental health assessment report regarding the duo. It's on page 11. You can read that. I also, as we go to the county news, state distributes mosquito nets to curb malaria in 3 counties. Baringo, Narok among regions affected by disease. Some 107,831 community health promoters recruited. Governor Achani plans to revive cotton production. This is Kwale County government planning to revive the cotton sector with a new model, Ginnery in Msambweni, to produce high quality fiber. Joho, he won his challenging CS job dismissed, saying he was properly and lawfully hired. Right. On the enterprise pullout, macadamia processors between rock and hard place. It's on page 3. Export of raw nuts has led to significant financial losses for local processors, farmers and suppliers within the subsector's value chain. And Tana River residents pick up pieces after floods. Starlink market entry is a new test for ICT regulators. It's on page 7. You can read that. Employ teachers in Nyanza using affirmative action. Leaders plead and officers sent to Gulf nations over Kenyans' welfare. A labor attaché has been sent to Saudi Arabia to address the welfare of Kenyan migrant workers. So you can read that as well on the county news. The business section, I see EABL 6 entire shareholding of Ugandan unit with share plan. The regional brewer plans to acquire 2,177,995 ordinary shares of Uganda Breweries Limited. I see Equity Group launches 2023 sustainability report. Read that as well on the business section. On the world news, PM Netanyahu won't give in to pressure as Gaza war rages on. 6 Israelis captured last year during Hamas attack on southern Israel were shot dead. Israelis protested on Sunday and Monday to pressure their government to secure the release of remaining captives. And graft pushing 60% of Africa's youth to emigrate in 5 years. 60% of African youth are looking to leave because unchecked corruption threatens their future, according to a poll of more than 5,600 youngsters in 16 countries, which was released on Tuesday. Very interesting story there. You can read it on page number 23. Right, we go to the sports pages. Then the back page, they say why Man United boss Ten Hag is not packing his bags soon. There is a photo there of the Manchester United boss walking majestically with his bag on his back, so he's not going anywhere. So Manchester United CEO Berada says the manager has full backing of the club. Dutchman is under pressure after loss to Liverpool. And I see here Suarez to retire after qualifier. Ronaldo, for him, he says he's not yet ready to retire yet. And Osimhen set to join Galatasaray from Napoli. That is it. Then I see Nigeria seeks revenge against Benin as Nations Cup qualifying kicks off today. So today we have some Africa Cup of Nations qualifying fixtures. Super Eagles will be under the guidance of caretaker coach Eguavon today. And in matches to be played today at 6 p.m. Comoros versus Gambia, Libya versus Rwanda at 7 p.m., Tanzania versus Ethiopia 7 p.m., and Sudan taking on Niger. That is at 10 p.m. And then finally, in tennis, Sinner and Medvedev set up U.S. Open quarters clash. This will be the fourth meeting between the two players this year. World number one Swiatek to face Pegula for a place in the semis. So the quarterfinals today, Draper versus Diminia and Sinner versus Medvedev. You can read that on page 29 inside the Standard.
All right. And it's time for us to have a look at the Daily Nation. And of course, the very top story is what we did already cover on the teachers reject back-to-work deal. And we continue to follow up on the same. Still on the top page is what Raila is up to in China tour. He has joined President William Ruto, and Odinga is to give a keynote address on infrastructure at China African Summit. And this is on the back page, which is set to happen between September the 4th to 6th. And Mr. Odinga, that is, he's expected to give a keynote address on infrastructure, and the former premier served as the African Union High Representative for Infrastructure Development in Africa between 2018 and 2023. And still on the top page, I see here 6 billion shilling windfall for IEBC City Hall lawyers. Dozens of law firms will get 6.2 billion shillings for legal services offered to the Electoral Commission and the Nairobi County Government. IEBC owes 11 law firms at least 1 billion shillings for services, including defending it in 2022 presidential poll petition. A story on page 7. And still on the top page is that swift rise of VIP's aid as shocking details of police promotions revealed. And let us go to page 2, which says payday, 6 billion shillings windfall for City Hall IEBC lawyers. I think you did mention that. Are they the ones smiling all the way to the bank also? I see Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja says lawmakers who are expected to play the oversight role as far as the use of public funds is concerned usually push the county government to pay millions of shillings to contractors, businesses, and also law firms. And page 4 and 5 is all about Kuppet and the teacher strike as well. And I see page 6, KRA boss summoned over 62 billion shilling tax loss. There are claims that two firms occasioned the loss in palm oil import deal. Page 7 is what we've touched on the top page, shocking details of recent police promotions, friends, relatives, and mistresses of seniors among the beneficiaries. So this hapa inaitwa nepotism ama inaitangwaje? A police officer here saying they are veterans in the low ranks, some who have been around for more than 20 years. Why pick the young woman who is still very new? Ukabila. Nepotism is still in action. And page 8, I see NLC in the spotlight, over 4 billion withheld from landowners. That's also a story that has been covered on the Standard. And I see something interesting here on the DN2 parenting, which I feel is actually important for us to touch on. Embrace social media cautiously. And I think over the recent years, we have seen clearly that mtoto amezaliwa leo na ako na Instagram page.
Sini mnasema ni content.
Alafu unaandika out with my mom, mtoto hata hana habari, ajui. You are just mama ndio social media manager wake. Out with daddy. Oh, mommy today really annoyed me. You know, we have such things happening. But this is what is being said on the DN2 parenting, that as more parents turn to social media to share their lives, the potential impact on their children is becoming a topic of increasing concern. The pressure of juggling to maintain a certain image online can affect a child's mental health. I think for me personally, I don't think I would want to open a social media handle for my child until they are old enough to do it on their own and to decide whether they want their lives to be in the public. What if this child grows up to be an introvert and they're like, Mom, why did you expose me? Why are my pictures all over the internet? Maybe they don't even like it. They don't even want the pressure. Maybe they're being bullied in school. I think we need to be cautious. Instead of just doing what every other parent is doing, it's really important to be careful about what we allow to be out there, especially without the child's consent, because they did not consent. They are human beings with their own brain. They could wake up one day and feel, Mom, you did me wrong by exposing me to the public. But that's a story on the DN2 parenting, which I believe is going to be very, very important. I see here one saying, I've seen parents who start sharing content featuring their children. Notice that this post get more views. Miss Jane explains, it is tempting to keep posting more of this content, but it is important to consider the impact it might have on the child, because I think some of these things are actually from selfish motives, whereby you just want followers, you want people to see, you're like this, you're like that, but it's important to be careful, because remember, mtoto atakuwa ana feel pressure, have to maintain a certain image, and this could lead to a lot of mental health issues. So look at that story on the DN2 parenting. And for those who have motors, magari, Ginji, hapa kuna kitu yako, DN2,
wanasemaje?
Motor, be vigilant during car service. You don't have to be a pest, but you should demand the right to observe and intervene. You're allowed to ask what, how, and why. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Because sometimes garage fixes can be a stitch up.
I remember when I got the car, and I went to the mechanic. The good thing is I knew him even before I got the car. So he was telling me, you need to be very careful with mechanics. We can make you poor overnight. Because, you know, and he was, so I was asking him, so how and why are you saying this? So he said, you come to the garage, and especially for them who are not very keen, the people who are like, unfortunately, for ladies, they take advantage of ladies, because you know, you don't know, and you are not very keen as well. When you get it to, nimesikia, so they will come, then come after 30 minutes. So they will, they might not even change anything. So it was something very minor, everything. So watakuja wakuambia tulichange nini vitu, because it's a garage, wanakuonyesha vitu. They don't even belong to your car. Then wanakuslap up on a huge bill.
Unashindwa shughuli.
So he was saying, when you come, be keen.
Anything,
why are you changing this? You know, shida ni gani? Na be there. Unaona yenyewe wamefungua na ndio hii wamefungua. Yes.
Naambiwa, are you guilty of dropping the car at the mechanics for service as you run errands or relax at the lounge area? Gavin has a word of caution for you this week. Oh my goodness, please look at this story. This is on the DN2 motoring. People have actually given their experiences and what they have gone through. People are even expressing, I recently bought a used car that seemed fit and well. The engine started easily, ran smoothly and performed well. But after a short while, it developed developed a whole lot of engine problems. What might have caused that? You find that alipeleka to servicing innocently, and all of a sudden, a car that was doing very well becomes an issue.
They use your car
to
get spare parts for other.
Oh my goodness. Aki Mungu see, you think I may not be there, but God is seeing you.
See what?
There are some.
Yeah, there are some who are perfect.
Adding some,
Lakini kuna madoa inaharibu.
Anyway, let me close it off with the page 31. Olunga, a big doubt as Firat weighs Stars attack options with regular Juma also injured. Omala, Ayunga, Omune, and Avire, the choices available. And page 30, powerlifter Wawera, 6 Kenya's first medal today. I think we did look at this lady some time back. Kuimachuma anainua kuinua. She's a powerlifter. Nasikia she made history after winning powerlifting bronze at the 2022 Commonwealth Games. And she is not tired. She has actually made 4 the number of medals powerlifter Helen Wawera has won at the World Cup. These are 4 medals. Helen Wawera, nakwambia hapa, huyu mwanamke ni mwanamke bomba. If you are the husband, don't joke.
Yeah.
He can just lift you.
She's a power lifter. So, yeah.
Hey.
Business Daily quickly. Ruto hands mega road deal to China, drops French farms. Of course, we highlighted that earlier. PSA's parastatal CEOs face sacking for ethnically skewed hiring. So again, that's a very interesting story that you can read from front page and page 2. And insurers team up for steam wells cover. 5 insurers have teamed up for a geothermal exploration risk cover that will compensate investors up to 257.5 million shillings when they drill and fail to find sufficient output in Kenya. And 1.2 million Kenyans sign up to unit trusts as assets hit 254 billion Kenya shillings.
Awesome. And that's it for our newspaper review segment. We do hope you're now informed and also you know how to pray for this country. I believe the main highlight of the day has been 2 things. Number 1, the teacher strike that we definitely need to keep praying about. We are losing more time with the back and forth. It's the wrong time. I mean, I wish we had this huko first time jamani. Saizi ndo tunakafunga na ndo mambo yako vile ambavyo yako. So we need to pray so that there will be sanity, so that our students will go back to school, and so that parents will not have to spend so much money with the back and forth. And also the other thing that is very important, let's be careful about social media exposure. If the child is not mature enough to start their own page, don't put that pressure on them. If at all sisi watu wakubwa tuko na pressure, sembuse huyu mtoto ambaye tayari umemweka pale kwenye social media, there could be a lot of pressure, and sometimes it's not the right thing to do and expose them to. But you can read about it on the DN2 parenting. Maybe that will help to make a proper decision moving forward. So we're gonna take a short break. This will be actually ushering us in to look at the video of the day. Then we'll come back and talk about it.